Well, hi, everybody. Brendan Gulick with you from Progressive Field on a day that's a little bittersweet, quite frankly, here at the corner of Carnegie and Ontario. You always knew this day would come at some point, and it certainly isn't a surprise that it's here, but it's official today. Terry Francona is stepping down from the Cleveland Guardians as their manager after 11 incredible seasons here in Cleveland. He just wrapped up talking to the media. Terry did, along with Chris Antonetti, for about 25 minutes. It was a great press conference. Just wanted to give you a couple of thoughts from that here this afternoon. Look, I think when you hire a manager, you kind of have this introductory press conference where everybody's really excited and there's hugs and handshakes and a jersey exchange and, lots of photo opportunities, and everybody's feeling optimistic about the direction things go because you hire a guy you believe in. It's pretty rare that when a guy leaves, you still have those same feelings. And I get the impression that Terry, who alluded to that in his press conference today, and certainly with the comments that Chris Antonetti made today and has made for a long time, there is no ill will between these two sides. It's basically Terry's decision just to say, look, it's time. It's time for me to walk away from managing, and it's time for me to take care of my health, and I can't do this job at the level it needs to be done every day anymore. But true to the end, he never used the word retire to say that the door is closed, I'm never going to be back in baseball. He specifically didn't say anything like that. He kind of laughed and he said, there's no major league team in Tucson, and he clearly wants to be back home where, he can have some rhythm and flow of whatever the new normal might look like for him. It's clear that he expects he's going to miss the game, but he said he really hasn't thought much about what he's going to miss, and he doesn't want to have to plan so much because his schedule and his life has revolved around such a regimented schedule the last 40 years as a player, and then certainly once he got onto the coaching side. So he's excited about the opportunity to just live life, see what kind of happens, the hope and the expectation that he'll still be a part of this team and be around the Guardians franchise in some way, shape, or form. But he said, I don't really know exactly what that's going to look like or feel like. Somebody asked him about his brief television career, and he laughed. He goes, I genuinely, I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to miss, what I want to continue to do moving forward. He kind of alluded to maybe some sort of role where he can be around some minor league guys where he's helping them develop somehow. But he made it clear, I'm not going to have a role in whoever comes here next to be the next manager. If they ask my opinion in the front office, sure, I'll give it to them. But it is not my job to help them fill that role. And they certainly are capable of, of the direction, they want to set. It's about as amicable a parting as you could possibly have. And obviously there's been quite a nice but somewhat muted farewell for Tito on the grand scheme of things, because he really didn't want a ton of attention and spotlight, despite the fact that he really deserves it with what he accomplished here. I wrote about this when the Guardians had their last home game, and I think it's really important to reiterate. In the last probably 25 years, when LeBron James decided in the prime of his career, even after he spurned the city, to come home and he was a national focal point in the sport, and he wanted to play here. Outside of that, I don't know that I can think of a moment in Cleveland sports in the last 25 years or so that resonated the same way with me that it did when Terry Francona said, hey, I want to manage the Cleveland Guardians. Here's a guy that managed one of the biggest payrolls, some of the biggest players, and certainly the biggest egos in the sport for the big bad Boston Red Sox. And he broke the curse of the great Bambino, and he won the World Series, and he had a ton of success, and obviously didn't end the way he wanted to in Boston, but it was this feeling as a fan of, we convinced a larger than life guy in this game to come from a big market to come want to be here. Wow. And the hope that it would turn out to be just as special as it ended up, becoming. It's so rare that those two things line up. And did the Guardians, or at the time the Indians, did they win the World Series? No. And look, it was exceptionally painful in 2016. But he had an unbelievable run. I'm going to use the word retires as manager because he says he doesn't foresee managing again. He retires as the manager, as the winningest manager in club history at 927 wins overall, which is substantially more than what Lou Boudreau had back in the 40s and into 1950. He guided a Guardians franchise that from 2013 to 2023 had the fourth best aggregate record in all of Major League Baseball in that time. Only the Dodgers, Yankees, and Astros had accumulated a better record. And at that, the Astros only won one more game over that 11-year stretch than the Guardians did. The Guardians qualified for the playoffs 6 times in that 11-year stretch. Tito won more games as the manager in that stretch than any other manager in Major League Baseball over that time. We've detailed it several times. This is a career that probably will wind up in Cooperstown someday. You never have guarantees, but it sure feels like that's where it's going. And so it's bittersweet because Cleveland needs to celebrate the fact today that Terry Francona put a winning product on the field, did it in incredibly fun ways that our city could be proud of, and I think that fans genuinely really enjoyed. And I think these will be years that we look back on for a long, long time as fun teams, despite the fact that ultimately they never won the World Series. There was a heck of a lot more winning here than there was losing. And having Tito here was really cool for that stretch. So I know Cleveland fans are really grateful. In terms of moving forward, Chris Antonetti said they are going to continue to consider internal and external candidates. They don't really have a timeline. They are just concerned with, let's just come up with whomever the right person is to lead the organization. He said they actually went back and reviewed part of their blueprint of 11 years ago of what they went through. And he said, we might change a few things because things have changed in the game since they last had to hire a manager. But the reality is they feel very good about where they're at. And Chris joked and said, we will not have a lack of interest in the opportunity in our search to try to find the right person. So there's a lot of hope and optimism right now around this franchise with a lot of really good, young, controllable talent. We saw some incredible young pitchers this year that give a lot of people hope that this could, continue in a great trajectory. But it is going to look and feel a little bit different in 2024 when the Guardians take the field. So that's the latest from Progressive Field. We'll continue to bring you some news and information along the way in the offseason for sure as things progress. Hopefully we'll know sooner than later who the next manager will be, and we'll be right back here when they have that press conference eventually to introduce who the new person is. Will it be somebody already on staff? Will it be somebody from another organization? Perhaps somebody from the minor leagues in the Guardians organization? Who knows? But I choose to believe that the Guardians are going to find the right person here moving forward, and that this franchise is going to really excel because they've got a lot of great pieces that are coming back on the field. Okay, I'm Brendan Gulick. Thanks for hanging out here for a little bit at Progressive Field, and look forward to seeing what this franchise does in the offseason. Of course, we will follow it all along for you. ClevelandBaseballInsider.com is your home for all the latest news and information on the team. And in the meantime, please subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can bring you more content just like this.